4 years, people only saw Rachel Lamb Brown as the smiling daughter of Marcus and Joni Lamb. She wore beautiful dresses, posted happy pictures, and stood in front of cameras like she was born for it. But behind those Instagram smiles and polished TV moments, people started asking, who is Rachel Lamb Brown really? Some say she's just trying to protect her family's legacy. Others believe she's slowly changing everything her father built. But here's where it gets interesting. When Marcus Lamb passed away, everything at Daystar changed. People expected Joni to take charge. And yes, she did. But Rachel? She moved fast, into a position of power that some didn't see coming. And the truth is, not everyone liked it. At first it was subtle. Rachel started showing up in more Daystar programs. Her voice became louder during meetings. She brought her husband Jonathan Brown into the spotlight too. And little by little, people began to notice. This wasn't the same Daystar they remembered. Some former Daystar staff members even whispered that Rachel was taking over, not just leading but reshaping Daystar in her own image. Because this is the moment people started watching her social media a little closer. What was Rachel really showing the world? Beautiful outfits, cute family moments, vacation pictures, photo shoots, all with perfect lighting and soft filters. But where was the preaching? The raw prayer moments? The deep teachings like her dad used to do? Some longtime viewers felt uneasy. Not because Rachel was showing her life, but because they wondered if the mission of Daystar was changing. From ministry to image. But here's the twist. Rachel isn't just about style. She's sharp, smart, strategic. She knows how to talk to both young and old viewers. And some say that's exactly what Daystar needs now. A fresh voice, a modern face, someone who can keep the ministry alive in a generation that's glued to their phones. So now the question becomes, is Rachel saving Daystar, or slowly turning it into something else? Because the Rachel we see today isn't just a daughter anymore. She's in charge. She's making decisions. And if you look closely, she's moving pieces behind the scenes that only someone with real power can move. There's even talk that Rachel may one day become the full face of Daystar. Not just the co-host, not just the daughter, but the one who runs it all. But at what cost? We're only getting started. Stay with us. Because what's coming next might change the way you see Rachel. Forever. Not long after Rachel started taking a bigger role at Daystar, people inside the ministry began to notice something different. Meetings felt shorter. Decisions were made faster. And many longtime staff members felt like their voices didn't matter anymore. One former employee said quietly, "It's like the whole place started changing, and not everyone was allowed to ask why." You see, Rachel wasn't just stepping into leadership. She was rewriting how things were done. Some say she's bold. Others say she's bossy. But one thing is clear, Rachel doesn't like to sit still. She moves fast. She knows how to make things happen. And she isn't afraid to make big changes, even if it upsets a few people. Now that might sound like strong leadership. But for a ministry like Daystar built on family values and quiet faith, some felt the changes were too much, too soon. Behind the cameras, Rachel had started making choices about programming, staffing, and branding. More lifestyle content. More polished moments. More picture-perfect smiles. One former Daystar viewer wrote in a comment, "It's starting to feel more like a fashion show than a ministry." Still, Rachel didn't slow down. She kept posting, kept smiling, kept speaking to crowds with confidence. And more people started paying attention, not just inside the church world but outside of it too. Some called her the new face of Christian media. But others whispered, "She's not her father." That comparison followed her everywhere. Marcus Lamb was known for his deep preaching, his serious interviews, and his passion for truth. Rachel, on the other hand, was being praised for style, branding, and modern appeal. And that raised a tough question. Is Rachel Lamb Brown trying to fill her father's shoes, or is she quietly replacing them with high heels and soft filters? Let's not forget, Rachel grew up in front of cameras. She was raised to smile for audiences. She knows how to look perfect even when things aren't. But lately, people started wondering if there's more going on behind that smile. Because while everything looks perfect on the outside, at Daystar, at home, and online, some insiders say there's tension under the surface. Power struggles, family disagreements, quiet exits. And through it all, Rachel remains calm. She never posts about it. She never talks about it. But some believe she's in the middle of it all, controlling more than anyone really knows. Why does this matter? Because Daystar isn't just another network. It's one of the biggest Christian platforms in the world. And Rachel isn't just some social media personality, she's holding a piece of that kingdom. So the real question is, what is she planning to do with it? Is she protecting her father's legacy, or slowly building a new one in her own name? There's more to this story. After Marcus Lamb passed, people expected Daystar to slow down, maybe even fall apart. But that didn't happen. Instead, something else took shape, something quieter but just as powerful. Behind the scenes, Rachel Lamb Brown was stepping in. Not with loud announcements, not with big speeches, but with small moves, one after the other. She started showing up at every major Daystar event, sitting at the center of interviews, walking alongside her mom Joni but not behind her, next to her like an equal, and sometimes even ahead of her. People began whispering, "Is Rachel the new leader now?" She never said it out loud, but her actions spoke louder than words. Viewers who watched Daystar for years noticed the shift. Old programs started disappearing. New ones popped up, with fresh music, new lighting, stylish outfits, and modern speech. It felt more like a Christian magazine than a ministry at times. But Rachel knew exactly what she was doing. She was targeting a younger audience. The next generation. The ones scrolling on TikTok and Instagram. The ones who wouldn't sit through a 2-hour sermon, but would watch a 5-minute video if it was bright, clean, and fast. To some, that's genius. To others, it's dangerous. Because if you change too much too quickly, people start to feel like they don't belong anymore. Daystar wasn't just a show to many people. It was their church, their comfort, a place where they felt close to God. And now, it felt distant, fancy, almost fake. But not everyone blamed Rachel. Some said she was just doing what her father trained her to do: lead, innovate, keep Daystar alive. And they're not wrong. Rachel spent her whole life in that studio. She watched her dad build the network brick by brick. She knows every camera angle, every hallway, every cue. She wasn't just handed Daystar. She earned her place. But here's where the story takes a turn. As Rachel took on more power, some voices started going silent. Past hosts weren't seen again. Old pastors stopped being invited. Some longtime staff left quietly without saying much. Nobody explained why. And when people asked questions, there were no answers. Everything just looked fine on the outside. Smiles, poses, scriptures and captions. Worship music in the background. But if you looked deeper, you could feel it. Something was different. The message was still Jesus. The prayer still sounded right. But the spirit of Daystar, the part people connected to for decades, felt like it was changing shape. And all eyes turned to Rachel. Was she really leading this change? Or was someone else guiding her behind the scenes? Either way, the truth is clear. Rachel Lamb Brown isn't just part of Daystar. She's shaping it. As the months went on, Rachel's presence only grew stronger. She was now the face of Daystar. She spoke on big stages. She led prayer nights. She gave interviews that made headlines. People called her bold, confident, even chosen. But not everyone agreed. Behind the praise, there were quiet questions, ones nobody wanted to ask out loud. Is this still about ministry, or has it become a brand? One pastor who used to work closely with Daystar said something shocking. He said, "It's not a network anymore. It's a show." Others were worried too. Some viewers stopped watching. Some donors pulled back. And some church leaders began to distance themselves quietly. But Rachel kept going. She posted videos with worship music. She shared family photos. She quoted Bible verses with glowing filters. To her supporters, she was inspiring. To her critics, she was distracting. But here's the truth. Rachel Lamb Brown is not a villain. She's a daughter trying to hold together the legacy her father left behind. She's a woman trying to lead in a space where most women are expected to stay silent. She's a mother trying to raise her kids, love her husband, and lead a worldwide ministry, all at the same time. That's not easy. That takes strength most people never see. But with great power comes great responsibility. And that's what this story is really about. Not about whether Rachel is too fashionable. Not about whether she posts too much. Not about whether she's different from her father. But about what kind of legacy she wants to leave behind. Because the cameras will stop one day. The lights will turn off. The crowds will go home. And all that's left will be the truth. Was Daystar still about Jesus? Or did it quietly become all about Rachel? That's the question history will answer. But for now, one thing is clear. Rachel Lamb Brown is no longer just a part of the story. She is the story. And whatever happens next, the whole world will be watching.